Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
You've heard of drug-sniffing dogs? They now have money-sniffing dogs. And I've heard of this before, but never looked into it that deeply. But Alex sent me a note, says Steve checks stuff from abc5.com. Canine trained to detect large sums of cash begins service for Department of Public Safety. Alex Yokish wrote this, and of course it's going on up in Minnesota. And they now have a money-sniffing canine, which will be used to crack down on gambling rings and illegal alcohol sales, according to law enforcement. So the dog can smell money, and apparently when he smells it, it's up to no good. This is a 1-year-old German short-haired pointer imported from Hungary, and her duties at the Minnesota Department of Public Safety this week are working in the Alcohol and Gambling Enforcement Division. Typically, special agents would have to go through every room of a house finding currency that's been hidden inside of furniture, floorboards, and clothing, says the dog's handler, Special Agent Brad Resney. We're not looking for a $20 bill sitting on a dresser. We're looking for bulk cash. She's able to search a house or car in a fraction of the time it would take a group of us to search that. Now, DPS said it now is the first local law enforcement agency in Minnesota to have a canine dedicated to tracking down U.S. currency. And that's a question. Can it track down Canadian currency? I don't think it can because it's a different material. And how much currency does there need to be for her to be able to track it? That's the other question. They noted there's a money-sniffing dog at Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport, but that is a federal government resource. So the feds have had these for a while. Now, the dog did a demonstration, presumably in conjunction with his handlers, for 5 Eyewitness News at its facility in Golden Valley Wednesday, tracking down a briefcase full of cash hidden in an office space. After exploring several cubicles, she found the bag in about 60 seconds. DPS said that she is specially trained to detect the scent of the cotton paper money is printed on, along with the smell of the ink on the bills. She'll just plop down when she smells the money, when she knows the source of where the money is coming from, says Resney, who also said the Alcohol and Gambling Enforcement Division conducts many investigations into crimes involving bulk money, such as people selling alcohol without having the required license, illegal poker rings, illegal lottery operations, and thefts of charitable gambling winnings from pull tabs or raffles. He said people running these illegal enterprises rely on large sums of cash and will hide it in a variety of places. The Minnesota Department of Public Safety shared several photos with 5 Eyewitness News of recent cash seizures. One of the photos shows rolls of money amounting to $90,000 that was hidden in a broom handle. Another photo shows cash stashed in a false seat of a truck. People are creative, said Alcohol and Gambling Enforcement Division Director Carla Sincata, and what we have seen is an increase in illegal gambling-related crimes. Sincata said the new canine will go out on search warrants with special agents. She believes the dog will help the agency crack more cases. We want to get the message out these types of crimes don't pay, and we're going to recover the money and give it back to the lawful victims. We want to move quickly, we want to move efficiently, and the dog will help us do that. Resney added that the dog can complete her search without destroying a scene. And by the way, that's something a lot of people don't understand, is that if the police have a search warrant for a place, they're allowed to tear the place up. They will tear the place up if they have to. And when they're done, they can say, oh, okay, we're done, and leave. And a lot of people say, well, don't I get compensated by it? No. So if they think there might be money stashed behind these walls, they can take a crowbar and start prying those boards off to see if there's anything behind them. So as a human, we'd have to break open a floorboard or crack open a piece of furniture if we believe there's money there, Resney said, confirming what Mr. Lehto just said. There's also potentially stuff that we're missing. The dog will be able to locate that faster and with more certainty. Ultimately, it leads to the seizure of that cash, which we use as evidence. It's also defunding their illegal operation and getting restitution for victims of theft. And all of the above, I agree with. And I agree that if there actually is a dog that can smell cash and they bring it into a crime scene, they've got a legal reason to be there, and the dog detects a bunch of cash, which is ill-gotten gain, and et cetera, I've got no problem with them doing that, especially if it saves the destruction of the locality. However, The problem I have is, and you can see this coming down Main Street, is that the dog can detect cash. And as we know, the rationale and the thinking process of law enforcement goes something like this. If you've got cash on you, you must be a criminal. Therefore, since you're a criminal, we'll take the cash from you because the cash probably came from a criminal enterprise. And because of that, we're going to keep the cash and you're going to forfeit it through a thing called civil asset forfeiture. Therefore, go back to the beginning, dog smells the cash, we seize the cash, and call it a day. See, all the examples that they gave here of the dog doing something, they implied that they're investigating an actual crime and that somehow the money would be tied to a crime, and no mention of forfeiture, criminal or civil. And so if this dog was legitimately simply brought out to places where there is a warrant to be executed or criminal activity going on that they can observe with their own eyes, then yeah, I got no problem with the dog detecting that cash and using that as part of the investigation. My concern is, and there's an old saying, that when you have a hammer in your hand, the entire world looks like a nail. And so if you've got this cash-sniffing dog that works for you, and by the way, it's not a piece of equipment that you just put in the corner and forget about. That's the other thing. See, if I buy a pair of night vision goggles and use them to investigate a crime, when there's no crime to investigate, I can turn them off and put them in a drawer. Oh, stakeout tomorrow night? Let me grab the goggles. I grab the goggles. That dog is going to be around 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Someone's got to take care of it and watch it. That's the nature of dogs. So if you've got this dog sitting around with nothing to do, what do? If you literally just go days and days and days and days and not use that dog for its intended purpose, won't the dog lose its edge? Maybe the dog will lose its ability to sniff money if you don't take it out once in a while and have it sniff money. So why don't we jump on one of the major freeways that cuts across Minnesota and just start pulling over cars? And we got the dog with us. The dog can do a quick walk around to the car. Is there cash in that car? Oh, dog says there is. Why do you have cash in your car driving across the state of Minnesota? Curious. Why is that? Why would you do that? How much cash you got on you? Oh, there's no cash in your car? Now you're lying to us. So the fact that you're lying to us means we can search your car. Oh, we found the cash that the dog detected. And you lied about it. Obviously, you're up to no good, which means the money's probably tainted. So we'll keep the cash. You want it back. Sue us. Otherwise, keep going. That's my fear. Now, I'm an attorney. By nature, I tend to be paranoid. And I'm not saying I'm paranoid in my everyday life where I'm always like, oh my gosh. No, I simply mean that I look at something and say, okay, I see a situation. What are the possibilities here? And my brain will go to both ends. I'll imagine the extremes. What's the best that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? And I'm not even saying that's the worst, what I just described to you, but that certainly is something on the spectrum of things that could happen. Because someone's going to say, we've got this dog here, and the dog ain't being used every day. Shouldn't that dog be put to use? We paid a lot of money for that dog. That dog came over here from Hungary. I've never even been to Hungary. That dog's been to Hungary. So don't get me wrong. I love dogs. But a money-sniffing dog, I suspect it's going to lead to no good as far as the police department goes. But we'll see. So Alex Yokish wrote this for KSTP.com, ABC5. It's happening in Minnesota. A canine trained to detect large sums of cash begins service for the Department of Public Safety. And Alex sent it. Thanks a lot. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. It isn't the mountains ahead to climb that wears you out. It's the pebble in your shoe.